Hello, this video is to answer the question, how long is 3 days and 3 nights? This may seem like a silly question today, but it is one that needs to be answered accurately to establish how long Jesus Christ was in the tomb. It makes a massive difference to his claim to be the Son of God. When some of the Pharisees asked Jesus for a sign that he was the Messiah, Jesus answered them as we see in the following verses of Scripture, starting in Matthew 12 verse 38. Then some of the Pharisees and teachers of the law said to him, "Teacher, we want to see a sign from you." He answered, "A wicked and adulterous generation asks for a sign, but none will be given it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Notice in verse 39, Jesus tells them he would give them only one sign. Then in verse 40, the sign of the prophet Jonah is explained. Jesus tells them he would be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, or the tomb. Since this is the only sign, then it is vital that he was actually in the tomb for that period of time. The same thought is found in Luke 11:29. It is a vital clue to the whole question about the burial and resurrection of Jesus. Notice again the sign of Jonah. It is the only sign that Jesus was going to give to the Pharisees. Starting in Luke 11:29. As the crowds increased, Jesus said, "This is a wicked generation. It seeks for a sign, but none will be given it except the sign of Jonah." In these verses, we find the Pharisees asking Jesus for a sign to show that he is the promised Messiah. And the answer Jesus gave them is absolutely vital for us to understand correctly. Jesus said that the only sign would be given to them is that he would be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The exact same amount of time Jonah was in the belly of the huge fish. Please notice that this is the only sign that he was going to give them. Therefore, if he is not in the heart of the earth for that exact same amount of time, then he is not who he claims to be, the Son of God. If he is there for either a longer or a shorter time, then he is an impostor, a fraud, and not the Son of God. There is a lot of controversy about just what the exact time is involved in the term 3 days and 3 nights. To me, it should be very easy to understand, but too many people interpret it differently. So what I aim to do here is to see how the Bible interprets it. If we are to get to the biblical answer, then we must rely only on what we can learn from the Bible. The thoughts and traditions of man do not enter these calculations, but only what we can prove from God's own word. Not only did Jesus say he would be in the tomb for 3 days and 3 nights, but in 1 Corinthians 15:4, he also claimed he would be raised on the 3rd day. The term the 3rd day obviously fits with the 3 days and 3 nights he declared as the time he would be in the tomb. Notice in 1 Corinthians 15:4, he was to be raised according to the Scriptures. As 1 Corinthians 15:4 states, that he was buried, that he was raised on the 3rd day according to the Scriptures. The only place we get an accurate description of the term, the 3rd day, is in Genesis chapter 1 and verses 1 to 13. This will settle once and for all what Jesus and his disciples meant by the term 3 days and 3 nights. So starting in Genesis 1, verse 1. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault sky, and there was evening, and there was morning, the second day. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land, that bear fruit with seed in it according to their kinds." And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seeds in it according to their kinds. And that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. Here we see a perfect example of 3 days and 3 nights, where there are 3 periods of darkness and 3 periods of light, and the end of this time was referred to as the third day. And if we allow 12 hours for each period, then we have 72 hours. In the following scriptures we see the term "on the third day" used to describe when Jesus would be raised from the dead. So starting in Matthew 16 verse 21. From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. Again in Matthew 17, starting in verse 23. They will kill him, and on the third day he will be raised to life. And the disciples were filled with grief. Now Matthew 20, verse 19. He will hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified. On the third day he will be raised to life. And now on Luke 18:33. They will flog him and kill him. On the third day he will rise again. The following passages of Scripture all say exactly the same thing. Luke 24:7, Luke 24:21, Luke 24:46, Acts 10:40, and 1 Corinthians 15:4. At least 9 times in the above verses we see Jesus was to be in the tomb until the third day. So I believe that this is exactly how long he was in the tomb. Anything different, and he is not the Son of God. And from Genesis 1, verses 1 through 13, we see the perfect description of the term, the third day. 3 periods of night and 3 periods of day. Exactly 72 hours. Notice especially 1 Corinthians 15:4. Here the apostle says that Jesus was raised on the third day according to the scriptures. And as we can plainly see, Jesus was resurrected on the third day. And according to the amount from Genesis, that is equal to 72 hours. In the book of Jonah, we can see the reference to this term Jesus used as his only sign that he is the Messiah. So starting in Jonah 1:17. Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. This is the sign of Jonah. 3 days and 3 nights in the fish's belly. In Luke 11:29 and Matthew 12:39, we see Jesus saying he would give only one sign he was the Messiah, and that was the sign of Jonah. Surely there is enough proof in these verses to show that Jesus was in the tomb for exactly 3 days and 3 nights, equal to 72 hours. In an example from Genesis above, we can clearly see that it cannot be anything less than a full 72 hours. I hope you can see from this message that Jesus was the full 72 hours in the tomb. Anything other than 72 hours, and he is an impostor. Now, by following the activities of the women at the cross and afterwards, we can gauge the exact times Jesus was buried and when he was raised from the dead. For an explanation of the start and end times of this 72 hours, please see the video, Follow the Women. Thank you for watching this video, and may God bless you.